DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy, family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into the FL1 Sports Podcast here on FingerLakes1.com. Paul Russo with Jim Senecropi and Kyle Evans. Been a couple weeks, but hey, that's kind of the sports calendar sometimes. Just don't have a lot to talk about, so we have some stuff compiled up that's occurred over the past 14 or so days, and we'll dive into it. Hockey's back, Sabres specifically, looking to continue to stay hot, come out of the Olympic break. We got sectional basketball going on around here in Section 5, so we got some stuff to discuss there.
I think you should let Kyle right now give the day countdown that he just gave us before we came on, because it really sets the context for where we are in the sports calendar.
That's true. Kyle?
Yeah, so we're 6 days away from the World Baseball Classic, 13 days away from NFL free agency, 19 days away from March Madness, 28 days away from opening day, 42 days away from the Masters tournament. And if you want to do the NHL and NBA playoffs, those are 51 days away. And I can't forget the NFL draft, 56 days away.
And the World Cup.
And the World Cup is 105 days away.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The one that gets me most excited is, what'd you say, 28 days away from opening day? Not even a full month.
Yep. And actually, it's 27 days for opening night because it's just the Yankees and Giants at 8:05.
But Yankees are playing, which makes it better.
Yep.
So, anyways, yeah,
Fast.
Exciting.
Yeah, I know for me, the Masters weekend, you have Masters, and I know it's big, obviously, for you too, Jim, but for me, I'll be in Bristol for NASCAR that weekend, too.
That's right.
So, I mean, come on, we're getting there. But yeah, we got a couple other things, too, like Syracuse. I have thoughts after being at the Dome on Saturday. Yeah, whatever else kind of just pops up here as we
It was a rough day for you on Saturday. Or wait, maybe that was Sunday. When was? It was Saturday, the NASCAR race, when your man Bubba Wallace was in the lead in overtime and then decided to shoot up to the top of the crack.
That part was Sunday.
That was Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, bad weekend then, I guess.
It's whatever. He was in a damned if he did, damned if he didn't situation.
I flicked it on. I'm like, oh, look at Bubba Wallace. That's Paul's guy. Let's watch. And he just totally made a bad decision.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I think he was a bit damned if he did, damned if he didn't, the way the drafting tracks are. And either way, Michael Jordan got 2 of his 3 cars, 1-2 in points. Reddick's won back-to-back. I don't know. Him and Brad Doherty, who would have thought?
Yeah, it's actually good for the sport, though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. He's been interviewed more by Fox than NBC, as we have been jokingly said online. So, yeah, a lot to get to. I think a couple more of our sponsors here quickly, including GoNet Speed. The future of connection is here, and it's fiber made for how we live and work today. GoNet Speed fiber is faster and stronger than anything out there. You can check availability in your area as well as plans and pricing at GoNetspeed.com and get ready for fast and reliable fiber internet straight to your home. And Auburn Auto Group. When it comes to selection and service after the sale, Auburn Auto Group has been the premier destination for new and used car buyers for 40 years. Among the brands offered on Route 5 in Auburn include Chevrolet, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Honda, Toyota, and Subaru. And thanks to their wide range of makes and models, you're sure to find your new or used car at Auburn Auto Group. All right, gentlemen. Well, Kyle, I think we'll start with you because this is the hockey fever really across the U.S. here. So start there before we get to the Sabres. Men, first gold since 1980. The Miracle on Ice here. For the women, they kind of continue what's been a pretty dominating overall run here. 2 goals allowed over the course of the whole Olympic tournament. Pretty good job overall here, I would say, for...
Despite what's coming out of the White House.
Well, yeah.
Congratulations to the women and the men.
Yeah. But pretty good year on the winter on the ice for the men's and women's squads here.
What's crazy is you mentioned the women, how they outscored their opponents like 30-something to 2 or whatever it was. They really dominated the tournament. The U.S., they didn't play their best against Canada, but still, found a way to get it done. And I didn't think they were going to. I thought as soon as I went to overtime with what Canada has, their top scorers, that they were just going to finish it. And they had wide open nets they missed. And
what a game.
The goaltending for U.S., just unbelievable. Kept them in the game so many times.
It's the type of goaltending that'll get you the Congressional Medal of Freedom. Or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was amazing. It was an amazing game. And it happened at 8 a.m. in the morning, everybody woke up. You didn't like that. I liked it. I
slept 4 hours.
Sit and watch it all.
It's tough for me. I didn't see all of it because Sunday mornings for me is a big, I'd say workout time, but I play pickup basketball, so it's not exactly the biggest workout thing in the world, but
And all their other games were 3:10 starts, which I didn't really like either because then you had nothing at night. But they had to do it because of the time in Italy. But
I thought it worked out good, though, in general for most Americans.
Yeah.
Well, I guess most East Coast Americans.
California would have been, 12 o'clock starts, 5 o'clock in the morning for the Olympic game, gold medal game. So, it was fun, though. I enjoyed it. Finally the NHL players got back to playing in it because they haven't played in it since 2014. Just really good game, and I saw the ratings were pretty good for the most part for an early start, so I think a lot of people enjoyed it.
A couple thoughts on it. Seems to be this need to make it as important as 1980. Some of them called it another miracle, in the press and building it up. It's nothing even close to the same. I mean, that was college kids playing against pros.
Yeah.
And at the height of the Cold War. I mean, we're friends with Canada. Sorry, I know there's a hockey rivalry, but
I just remember I go back to 2 weeks ago when we were talking initially kind of about the stuff, Jim, and you brought up the fact that you kind of remember that time a little bit and everything. And I not to be whatever about it, but I don't think this is going to stand out as much to you as time goes on in that sense as the miracle did by
or history in general won't remember it like that. But it was a great win because it was a great tournament. And to me, we talk about how all the All-Star games suck. Mm-hmm. This tournament was an NHL All-Star game tournament similar to the World Hockey events that they have. And so if you want to see the highest possible quality hockey you could ever see in the world, that was that Sunday. The best players in the world from the biggest two countries squaring off in a game that they totally cared about more than probably as much as a Stanley Cup final. And it was spectacular. I mean, the quality of play and the skill of those players. Mm-hmm. So that's what I took from it the most. It was just incredible to watch how good those guys are.
For me, it was the speed. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, everything about it was phenomenal.
It was just so fast compared to even just a normal NHL game. Like last night, the Sabres Devils, it just felt so different because I'm used to Olympic hockey, but it was still a good game. But yeah, the speed on both teams was amazing, and I wish it sucks that it's only one game. I mean, imagine a 7-game series between those teams.
Everybody lose it at more teeth.
Yeah.
But it was also the puck seemed to stick on their sticks like Velcro. I mean, it's just a different look than any other hockey game, that you generally see the level of play. And so it was a real treat. But not a miracle, not even a huge upset.
No.
A mild upset. I had the U.S. team at plus 100.
Yeah, I would say, and Kyle, you can jump in here pretty much at any point. The gulf now between the U.S. and Canada in terms of talent has certainly closed up by pretty wide margins, even in the past few years alone. Compared to even what I would say would be 2002 to 2006, it would still be a pretty, I would say, foregone conclusion. And look, the medal count backs it up in the sense of Canada, or your Finlands, et cetera, of the world would be the Russians. Obviously, at that time, would be the ones predominantly more in contention for these types of games. And obviously, now we're kind of seeing the U.S., like I said, close that distance up pretty good over the course of the past few years.
Yeah, the problem with Canada, which is why they were favorites, is they have the best player in the world, Connor McDavid, who, of course, didn't do enough, again, in a big game. I don't think he'll win anything in his career, which kind of sucks, unless he gets out of Edmonton. But And then they have the best defenseman in the world, Cale Makar, statistically. And Macklin Celebrini, who's going to win Rookie of the Year, and is doing things that Wayne Gretzky did as a teenager. So on paper, they were probably stacked more. And it did look like that on the ice, honestly, for like the last 40 minutes of the regulation.
Yeah, shot us big time, right? I don't know.
Probably more speed, but the U.S. has more playmakers. I think maybe more chemistry and just the heart and the fight that they have and the belief. I don't know if you saw, but one of the Kachuk brothers was on the bench in the third period late in the game, and he's like, we're going to win this game, and just kept pumping up the guys. And, I mean, again, the goaltending, though, was huge, and that's only the reason they even had a chance, so...
Yeah, I think a much broader audience got introduced to Connor Hellebuck here, obviously, and I think for guys like me and you, Kyle, we've known about him for
he's been good
for much more longer than a few weeks, to put it lightly. So
he's like 31, I think.
Yeah, maybe a nice transition over here given circumstances at hand, but yeah, part of me wonders how long before he'll start getting the itch to maybe get out of Winnipeg, but. Either way, different discussion for a different time overall in that sense. But keep it on the ice, Kyle. Sabres haven't really missed a beat in terms of at least the more important column here after a couple weeks off. So obviously hard to maybe really gauge anything off of one game, but
that'd be a relief, though.
Yeah, obviously you're better off winning your first game back than not.
Yeah,
and certainly sets the table nicely for a pretty big game tomorrow for them.
Yeah, so they had 20 days off. This was a concern going into the break. Was it going to be a good thing? Was it going to be a bad thing? It was only one game, but they're on the road in New Jersey. Jack Hughes, of course, was honored before the game. He did bring out Tage Thompson, but, the energy was there early on, and you just worried that, is this going to be a setback to open, the second half? And, they found a way to, get 2 goals. Tage Thompson returned from the Olympic tournament, scored, picked Jack Hughes' pocket, and, on one of the plays. And they held on at the end despite giving up a goal. And Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who hasn't played since mid-January, was in goal, and I thought he was really good. And, they do have a tough few games coming up still on the road in Florida against the Panthers, the Lightning. But with 24 games to go, they're at 72 points. They probably need another 20 points to actually get a wild card spot. But basically, you play 500 hockey the rest of the way, you're in pretty good shape. And they did this because of that, month and a half streak that they went on where they only lost like 3 games out of 22.
But also hopefully, after a horrible start, right?
Yeah, it was a horrible start, yeah.
You'd expect them to play better than 50% hockey.
Yeah.
If things keep going as they went before this break. So I can't wait.
It's going to be weird seeing them in the Stanley Cup playoffs if it happens.
That's why I got to admit that I don't watch much of the regular season. I just see, they won again. But when the playoffs start, I'll really look forward to watching them and actually have a rooting interest in a hockey team for the first time, other than someone I just bet.
Right. Well, the interesting part in all this too, Kyle, is we have the trade deadline coming up here in essentially a week, actually
8 days,
right? Pretty much right. It is a week. And the Sabres, I would imagine we've talked, would be in theory the buyers at the deadline, depending upon how things go. Anything you're seeing at this point, or anything you want to see at this point?
Well, I wanted Artemi Panarin before he went to LA. I do think they need another guy in their top 6. I don't know who that would be because I haven't really heard a lot of names yet that have been available. Because, again, this season's so different than others where there's so many teams in contention. A lot of teams are over 500. They're kind of still in it with 24, 25 games left. I think they probably do need another defenseman, though. They looked at old friend Tyler Myers, who was part of the Lindy Ruff era, the first time when Lindy was there as coach. But, yeah, I think just a defenseman and maybe another top 6 scorer, to help out.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny you mentioned Myers. I saw he was held out last night for, and I like how the NHL just doesn't shy away from it. It's like trade purposes. They're just like, well,
they still allow him to take the ice for pregame warm-ups, which is different, too, where you don't usually see that.
Right. So, hey, it's good stuff for the Sabres here as we get going. I know a few of the guys at least kind of stayed fresh. They did some the contract work of going and playing in Rochester for some of them, and we'll see how everything kind of fully shakes out here as we get back going again on the ice for the NHL.
51 days until the Sabres could be playing on your TV in a playoff game.
You love it.
Unbelievable.
Love to see it. Let's do the Syracuse stuff here first, I guess, before we get to some high school basketball, which is more positive than the negative of Syracuse here. I went to what was only and will be my second of 2 games in attendance for basketball this year, which is crazy to say, given even in the past few, it's been at least closer to a handful. And, lost to UNC. Just felt like a funeral at the game. It's the best way to describe it, frankly.
The way they lose,
like
too. It's like they're hanging around and not, missing opportunities. And North Carolina's not looking great. And then, the second half starts and they just pull away, and it's embarrassing, and it's another loss. And I don't think there's anything that Autry can do at this point to save his job, aside from winning the ACC tournament.
And even then, you're doing the prolonging that, to me, NC State did with Kevin Keats.
Well, you couldn't
a couple years
ago. Couldn't part ways with Autry if he got into the tournament, right? If they won the ACC tournament and got in, that's a tough.
UConn did back in the day with Kevin Ollie.
Well, yeah. But yeah, it seems like his fate's sealed, so it's time to start looking at potential new coaches, who they could be. One name I hear a lot of is Bruce Pearl, and I'm going to say no thank you to that.
I'm out on I'm out on a good number of people that I've seen fans want, and I know I'm probably the Debbie Downer on this in a lot of ways. None of the retired guys get me excited. If there was one you could get me excited about, it'd be Jay Wright, in all honesty, but he's taking a advisor role with the Lakers for the time being, so that's off the table.
The thing about something like that is, it would be great to get a Jay Wright type.
But for me, that's the only person I'd get excited about, because to me, and we got to see it up close and personal as Syracuse fans for a number of years, he actually built that Villanova program back out from maybe not the ashes, but it wasn't what it was.
A guy like that might be what we need.
Right.
To get us kickstart things again. But I don't see anybody like that being here more than 3 to 5 years.
And that's what I was going to say. As much as people may say this college stuff is now almost like pro level stuff, it'd be like what you see at a pro level team, where you essentially bring in that guy who is just gonna not keep your team afloat, right? But like stop the nonsense before you can move on to somebody, right? Whereas, and this is where I look at guys like a Jason Schertz at St. Louis, like a Brian Hodgson to a degree at South Florida, although I do have some.
I'm not a fan of that when I like shirts.
Yeah, so the Hodgson one to me is the one that I have maybe a bigger issue with, in the sense of like, I don't want them to hire somebody with Syracuse ties. I'm out on people wanting to bring Jerry McNamara in.
I'm in on it.
For him, you missed the McNamara boat 3 years ago when you hired Red instead of him.
I'm in. If it's Mike Hopkins or Jerry McNamara, I'm going to be there for it. It could be a disaster though, but I do in my heart of hearts want it to be a Syracuse guy that comes in and then coaches this team for the next 20 to 30 years and brings us back to perennial power.
There's only one Syracuse guy,
Jason Hart.
True tie-wise, I would be Patino, but that's not happening.
Yeah.
So, look, my reservations about Hodgson have nothing to do on the court-wise or anything like that. It's it's not local in the sense he's from Jamestown, and he grew up a noted Syracuse fan, and I have issue with fans like taking great pride in well, he's a Syracuse fan, he knows what to do, and blah. I'm like, I get that, but that's where I get worried about are you acting now just on emotion or actual results on the floor? Because to me, that's why I'm way bigger on the Schertz front, because he rebuilt the Indiana State program. He has now rebuilt the St. Louis program.
Schertz reminds me of a Kurt Signetti type of deal, where this guy just, no matter where he goes, takes a crappy program and turns it into a top tier winner. And And so it seems like, it would be great if we could get him the way Signetti went from like a JMU, which is comparable to St. Louis, then to the big time Indiana, and won a national title. I could see Shirts coming to Syracuse and doing that.
Yeah.
He'd be my number one choice right now.
And he's mine. And look, we don't have any decision making obviously power here. It's what we want, but I think.
Well, we don't even know who's going to hire him. Like, it'll probably be Wild Hack still, but he's out in July. So, who's manning the ship?
Mike Tirico?
I'd let Tirico name him. I'd do anything for Mike Tirico.
Yeah. I'd do anything for Sean McDonough. I don't know about Tirico.
Both of them. Those guys should be on the Mount Rushmore. They should have their own banners in the dome.
I agree. Yeah, and that was the interesting part, too, to kind of go back to Saturday for a moment. A long time coming overall here, but they finally honored the 1975 team, which was Syracuse's first Final Four team for basketball. Rudy Hackett, Jim Lee both had their numbers retired, and both, I'd say one was a bit more outright saying it than the other in their speeches, but they kind of allude to the fact that take great pride on that name on the front. Don't ruin what that is. And I don't know if it was necessarily their intent, but it certainly felt like they were taking a shot at the current program as it is run and being played out.
Somebody needs to believe me. We all got pride at the name on the front,
Correct.
but you can only see it. You can only be embarrassed and disgusted so many times in a row over so many years until you want to shake things up.
Yeah. And I hope that's coming. It sucks because I saw with this firsthand on Saturday. It just feels like you only have, frankly, a couple guys trying right now, and I know that's not the case. That it's only two guys actually going out there and playing at 100%. But
there's definitely stuff behind the scenes.
Correct. I'm not
disrupting the chemistry.
Correct. I'm not going to sit here and put, frankly, right now. For me, if I were in a position of coaching, I'm not putting William Kyle and Nate Kings on a pedestal with Donnie Freeman, for example. And not that I'm saying whatever, but Kyle and Kings, to me, especially again on Saturday, were the only two who played 100% for the amount of minutes around the floor. Again, I'm not saying a guy like JJ Starling, who had a great game on Saturday, was not doing that. But I go back to the way the games have been played the past few weeks. It just looks like outside of those two, everybody else kind of feels like they could kind of care less whether or not they're there or not, in a sense.
JJ Starling is a tough one because, can you imagine maybe what this team might look like without him? Because he does a lot of the scoring, he can get to the basket, and he's been a great Syracuse player now for the past 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But his presence with all the other talent around him, he seems to the ball sticks to him.
Right. I don't want to make it seem like I feel like he gets lost in the crowd, but he definitely is not the option he was the past couple years.
But statistically, he'll go down as probably a top 15 Syracuse player, maybe of all time. Definitely top 20 statistically.
Oh, in that sense, yeah.
But with we talk about them being too one-dimensional on offense, and with Freeman and Starling, they just seems the ball goes to them and it's one-on-one time. And I really don't want to badmouth Starling in that way because I don't know if that's necessarily the case or not. But the thought was with Freeman was, remember when they lost down in Vegas, and they thought, well, now we got Freeman coming back. Yeah. So we thought that was good when we took Houston to overtime. This team's been missing their best player in Donnie Freeman. Well, Freeman came back, and it looked good for a couple weeks, and then it was probably worse.
To me, it is worse. And I said this to my brother, who he's a UNC fan. We go to the game every year, pretty much. That's in Syracuse, and I'm just like, he's not. This part that sucks is it's going to be one play that really sticks out to me in a game that, frankly, it's not going to matter given the result. But I just go back to that Duke game now a couple Mondays ago, and there's a ball on the ground, and Duke has two guys diving at it, and they are both, at the time, further away from the ball than Donnie Freeman was. And I'm just like, that's unfortunately, I feel like for a lot of people, might be the thing that sticks out for his Syracuse tenure, frankly. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I don't see a way that he's back in orange next year.
Well, he's not ready for the NBA, although at times it looks like it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It only looks at it like it for short periods of time and are certain games and the rest. The biggest thing with him is, he'll just be standing there with the ball and somebody will take it from him.
Right. And again, too, the part that sucks in this is I don't mean to single him out, but he's kind of the main face for what to me feels like a lot of guys on this team right now, where it just is
lack of intensity.
Yeah. And again, it's like I said, it's not that I don't think none of them don't care or anything like that, but there's an element too of just fake it till you make it, to like, you know what I mean? And
something's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's Autry's program, and whether you can put it all on Autry or put it on the parents of some of these players that have apparently, made things difficult to the players themselves, to John Wildhager, whatever. So it's not good.
I go back to something we talked about on this podcast now a month plus ago, before even the 1-2 weeks ago when we talked about the free throws itself. But, you said it best, Jim. There are certain things at a certain point where coaching can't get you any further, right? The free throws are a good example of that. You can shoot, like you said, you can shoot 1,000 free throws, but at the end of the day, that 1,000 just may not make a difference, right? Yeah. But where coaching, to me, does make a difference is that culture setting in that locker room. And very clearly something is run afoul.
Well, we've seen him bench players for disciplinary or supposedly disciplinary reasons. It's never said, so maybe he's trying, but you got to look. So we mentioned Shirts. What's he do? I think that when he comes in, he does somehow either gets the type of players that are going to buy into his culture and his system.
I mean, literally.
Or he wills them into it once they're there. But it's the difference between winning and losing. Everybody's got talent nowadays in this big, in this era of college basketball, especially if you're a major conference team. Getting talent, I don't think, is a problem. You can draw from different, so it's something different. And this Syracuse team, I think that everybody's watched it. I don't think that anybody's thought that talent was the issue from the beginning. No. The first time I saw him play earlier in the year, even in the loss to Houston, I said, "Wow, I haven't seen this much talent on a Syracuse team since the pre-Buddy Boeheim era."
And I've said it a couple times this week again. And I'm still standing by it. Is this team has too much talent to have, frankly, the excuse to not make the tournament. Yeah. And it just, something's got to change, and I do think it's going to change. I did find it interesting, and I told you this on Monday, Jim, that, normally, as anybody who's gone to the Dome knows, they kind of introduce the coach in a separate fashion when they come out of the locker room. And
was there booze for Autry?
Well, there might have been if they actually announced him coming out to the court.
Oh, wow. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so.
They didn't even announce him.
Yeah, so I'm not.
That had to be premeditated.
Correct. I'm not going to start doing the conspiracy.
It really all makes me sad because Autry was a great point guard at Syracuse. And in a lot of ways, he's had a lot of bad luck. It went Pearl Washington, Sherman Douglas, Adrian Autry. And that's a tough spot for him. First of all, it was a tough spot for Sherman Douglas, but my God, he exceeded everything you could ever hope
for. The guy following the guy.
Follow the legend of Pearl Washington, you get the guy who's the leading NCAA assist leader by the time he leaves Syracuse, and then a long NBA career. And then Autry comes in and had a great career, not on the level of Douglas, or, well, you could argue that it was on the level of Washington statistically and overall what the teams did.
Yeah.
He was on some great teams, and he was a great point guard. So I'll always love Red Autry. It's just, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, just is not.
It's sad. It's
not gone the way it was supposed to.
It's sad, and I do also will say that it's all a product of transitioning away from the old Big East to now being in the ACC, where we will always be an afterthought to the folks on the ACC management.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing, right? It's they don't. I don't know, man. They can call themselves the Atlantic Coast Conference. They really only care about
right. They could truly be
about,
an Atlantic.
They only really
Coast
care.
Conference.
They only really care about 6 states below the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No. I think even the Virginia schools don't.
I kind of throw them in there as a proxy, but yeah.
Well, the Virginia, but not Virginia Tech, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, and nor do they much care about the teams in Florida either, except for football season.
Yeah,
it really is North Carolina centric because it's still that old school mentality. I've always hated the ACC. I used to love Big East matchups against ACC teams in the NCAA tournament. I mean, it was always, I would love it when Providence matched up against NC State in an NCAA tournament game. I'd watch that and root so hard for Providence, almost as hard as I'd root for Syracuse.
And funny thing you mentioned that portion of it too, because I think for people who may not know that portion of history, the team that Syracuse beat to get to, well, on the way to the Final Four in '75 was UNC. That was the main team they knocked off. Now, mind you, this is pre-Big East when they were independent / ECAC school, but UNC was certainly in the ACC at that time.
And they were a blue blood.
Yeah. Yep.
So. And also, we just mentioned Providence. That's the team Syracuse beat in 1987.
Yes.
To get to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. Trivia, 2003. Easy one.
For
who did Syracuse beat to get to the final game? I'm talking about semifinals, I guess. So they beat
Texas.
Providence. They beat Texas with a Hakeem Royal Ivy posterized dunk.
Yep.
How about 2000 and when was the next time we went? Oh, 96. I skipped 96.
That one I don't think I'd be able to give you, admittedly. 96. Well, the Final Four in 96 was what? Syracuse?
Mississippi State.
Okay.
I think. I'm actually not having trouble remembering that.
Well, I'm sitting here going, like, who was the Final Four in 96? It was Syracuse, UCLA, Kentucky, and...
I think it was Mississippi State.
Was it Mississippi State? Why does St. Joe's sit out?
Yeah, it was Mississippi State. No, it was Kentucky beat UMass. Syracuse beat Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And then we lost in the finals in a game that John Wallace got absolutely screwed.
Yeah.
And
96,
then
96 too was not to go down a complete sicko rabbit hole here, but that was a Pope team too for Kentucky, right?
That was a team. That was the Kentucky team that had 7 NBA players on it. Walter McCarthy, Antoine Walker. It was unbelievable, and we gave them a game, and they are the one player we couldn't have. That was getting foul trouble.
Yeah, that was Pitino's final year too at Kentucky, I think, right? Yeah. Or second to last year because he took the Celtics job in '97. So.
And then
I'm going down to poor Kyle's getting like a sicko.
2012 Final Four.
Oh, 2012 Final Four, or 13? You mean?
Yeah.
Right. Because that was Michigan. Yeah, there's a funny story with me involving that because of Michigan.
Well, we lost to Michigan. That was very disappointing in the finals, or in the semifinals, because until that point, we always won the semifinal.
Yeah.
And so then you go to the next Final Four, which was 2015?
16. Yeah.
Where we beat Virginia to get there.
Yeah. And then we lost to... Who did we lose to that year? This is not good.
North Carolina.
Oh yeah, it was North Carolina. Yeah.
Oh because then you have the Villanova thing, and okay, yeah.
Yep. So, anyways, there's your history of Final Fours, semifinals.
But it's just one of those things where I know I have a couple people in my life who go like, "You sound like such a homer," but it's true. No matter what way you want to slice it, Syracuse numerically sits somewhere between that 5th and 10th best program of all time, depending upon what you want to look at, based on different.
Oh yeah, I think you can't argue that, and you can't take what's happened the past few years and deny that.
But but there's a whole generation that does not know that. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is they see Syracuse as a not a knock on them. It's just as an SMU in basketball or something like that, right? As a doormat of sorts for a lot of teams, and that's the way it is. Hey, let's talk about some positive basketball here. We got postseason high school basketball here in Section 5, some sectional hoops happening. Kyle, it's been predominantly, I don't want to say like chalk necessarily, but at least for most of the teams here in the Wayne Finger Lakes that we cover, it's been a pretty ho-hum opening round here of sorts for most squads.
Very boring.
Yeah, I mean, the only games that really come to mind is that Marcus Whitman-Minders girls game that went to overtime. Minders led by 13 at halftime, blew the lead in the third quarter. They got outscored 15-3, and then, they just really couldn't do much in the fourth quarter or overtime, and their season ended, and it was a frustrating year for them for sure. The other one that comes to mind is the Penyan girls. They lost in the first round to Williamson-Marion. That was a stunner because at halftime it was 27-10, Williamson-Marion. Penyan wasn't even really in that game. They only made it interesting in the final couple minutes, made the score look better, but they just kept saying it all year. They won that one big game against Waterloo on a last-second shot in a really weird, low-scoring game, but other than that, they just never won the big game, and they actually were getting blown out in every big game just like that.
This had to be the first sectional win for Williamson in 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know that for a fact, but it
feels like it.
Yeah.
And then the boys won too. The Williamson boys.
Yeah.
They're both moving on.
Great to see.
A couple of other Wayne County teams. Red Creek boys are moving on. The girls barely lost. It was Attica, I think, by 5.
It feels temporary, though. It feels like they got that win, and now it's going to be tough to get into the semis, or it's definitely, I don't think we see them going beyond the semis.
Yeah. And then I guess we could mention a couple 1,000-point scorers. Lions, Stephen Lebrecht, Ananda, Hunter Vogt. They both did it on the same night, Tuesday night, in blowout wins. That was the theme, really, though. The first 2 nights, full nights, where you look up and down, blowout, blowout, blowout.
Yeah.
Even Minders boys won in blowout fashion.
Which was, it seemed like, hey, geez, maybe these guys are finally waking up. We've seen it before, but they were so bad in the regular season that it's hard to imagine that they could put a run on, but here they go. And you want to talk about blowouts. Lions, 116 points.
Yeah, it was 71-18 at halftime, so they were on pace for 142. They laid off the gas and still put up 116.
I know
The way you phrased it.
Yeah, it's almost a little disgraceful.
Because I have to mention, despite scoring 116, they literally laid off the gas.
Yeah. Just a quick note for you, Cal. Red Creek girls lost by 5 to the number 1 seed Cuba Rushford Bolivar Richburg combined squad, which I thought, going back to our bracket preview show we did a week ago, I thought in B2 for girls was going to be the way it appeared, had a good run, but I don't know. They got East Rochester here in the semifinal.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden East Rochester girls look like they got a path.
Yeah, so.
And also excited about Lions, potential semifinal Lions Gananda game.
Yep. And Marcus Whitman girls, I should mention too. They now have to face the 6th seed Leroy, who actually upset Avon. Again, in another low-scoring game, man. We get a lot of those weird 32-30 games.
Girls,
yeah. Minders,
but
Minders.
Path for Marcus Whitman now too, which to me that
shorthanded
would become the story of girls basketball of the year if Marcus Whitman could somehow get to a sectional final.
Yeah, Minders girls is what we would call having an unlucky matchup. They would have won any other game if they had scored 51 still in that round. So,
well, they did need overtime.
Well, still, I'm just it's one of those like you just look at. It's like they would have literally had won any other game.
And tomorrow night you got a big one.
Yeah, we do. I'll be up in Wayne with Nate Sharman. We got Class A boys quarterfinal matchup. Wayne, the 3 seed, kind of crazy to think about given their record this year and everything. But them and Newark, couple of Finger Lakes East teams going at it for a spot in the semifinal. 3 seed Wayne, 6 seed Newark. Wayne swept the regular season, but not without Newark really putting them to the test, to be putting it bluntly. But yeah, more than likely, if you look at it from the numbers standpoint, spot in that game to take on more than likely Geneva in the semifinal next week. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. But it's going to be a really intriguing matchup. Both teams are, as far as I know, they're playing with full decks in terms of rosters and everything like that right now. Newark rolled Greece Olympia pretty easily, so.
No, that to me was a good sign that maybe see this a lot with Newark too, where they play a tough early schedule. They play in a tough league, and they sometimes enter as a mid seed and play their best basketball at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued too to kind of maybe go off that a little bit more here. Probably didn't do enough justice when we talked about it last week as I dropped my pen, so that's great. I'm really intrigued to see what type of matchup Palmac gives East in this other quarterfinal matchup happening tonight on the other side of the bracket, because if
Be a big upset.
I don't think in theory Palmac beats East. I'm intrigued to see the numbers out of that game. What the differentials are like, stuff like that, because we did mention a little bit last week, but East played about 4 less games than everybody else this year, so they get the number 1 seed through the seeding differential and stuff like that. Whereas you look at your Genevas, your Waynes, your Newarks, Batavias, so on and so forth. They play their all 20 games you're supposed to technically play, and they kind of get screwed out of getting the 1 seed because of that. It's, I don't know, just one of those things. I'm looking off my soapbox now.
Anything we overlooked?
I don't think so. Speaking of Palmac, though, that was actually one of the better games too against School of the Arts. They hung on at the buzzer. The School of the Arts, I forgot who it was, but literally had a shot up at the buzzer, and it literally just rimmed out. It almost sent it to overtime. And Palmac was up double digits at halftime in that game, too. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, kind of underwhelming, but the games will get better.
Yeah.
I do love seeing all Wayne Finger Lakes teams, but specifically Finger Lakes East teams have success when they go out into play these teams from Rochester and other parts of the district, because you can make an argument that the Finger Lakes East is the toughest basketball league in Section 5. Tough to make that when Waterloo and Minders and Mid Lakes aren't that good, but
top of the league this year was stout, though.
Yep.
And unfortunately, in terms of for us on the postseason wise, they'll all more than likely face off against each other here and cannibalize themselves out. But what are you going to do, I guess, on that front?
This might be the first time I've ever said this, but we need Landon Washburn to get going. He had a season low 19 points.
Oh, darn it.
Played a lot, so that was kind of odd to me. They won big. That's not the problem. But remember, we want him to catch that record. He can't have a 19-point game. There's only so many games left.
Well, you come back with 60 tomorrow.
No, I was about to say from that angle, yeah, but then there's also me from the angle of when I played. Like, if I scored 19, I'd be spraying sparkling grape juice because I was under the age of 21. So
he's up to 2,059 points.
There we go.
He's got to get it going. How about a 60-point game?
There's actually a lot of guys I noticed. I saw the top 25 active scorer list, and it is littered with a lot of Wayne Finger Lakes kids, which is pretty awesome to see. So I know we've been given some flowers out here, but it was good seeing a good portion of that list have what I call the small school fighters in there. So happy to see that. Goes back to your theory, Jim. I know you said Finger Lakes East, and that's true. I agree with you there. But we really in the past couple of years have seen Wayne County take a pretty big leap, in my opinion, from where they had been, and same in the West right now. You're kind of seeing the same build, I would say, that we saw to Wayne County going into last season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, though, when you see the West start to build, and then you get teams that move out of the league and go independent or playing the Finger Lakes East, like Bloomfield this year with the girls.
They might be going back west, though, from what
I just think that's the league you're in. It's by school size. If the Finger Lakes West gets a tough rap. A few years ago, or 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Minders boys played in the West, and they won 48 straight games.
And as somebody who was a Minders individual during that time,
how were those bus rides?
Long.
Yeah.
Well, not long in the sense of whatever, but yeah, it was definitely
longer than Waterloo or Newark.
That year was so weird too, because I've talked about this a little bit before too. Like, it was such a weird year because like Lions was also like dipping into like the West at the time too to like play games. It was like a super weird year, like in terms of all of that. So I don't know, but yeah, look, I don't know. All I know is I was handling video duties, so for me, it wasn't, I guess, as bad, and I just kind of was able to keep it moving. But no, I do remember because it's funny we were talking about some of that stuff earlier today too. But different time in 10, 11, 12.
The Miners won 40-something straight games during that stretch.
Yeah.
In time, which was crazy.
Yeah, I think I remember we were back, I think, in the East at that point, but I remember, like, the only games we were really losing at the time were, like, when we do the trips up to, like, Aquinas to play. They used to have a Christmas tournament up at Aquinas back in that time, and the only losses we had then were to them, who had future Syracuse walk-on bench warmer legend Brandon Paul on the team, so.
Not a lot of sectional titles during that era, though.
Just, I think it was like one.
One.
Yeah, just.
Anyway. And we'll be handing some out coming up here.
Yeah.
In about 10 days from now.
A week.
Less than 10 days.
Pretty much.
Starting a week from now.
Yeah.
To Thursday. There's some girls
Wednesday,
finals?
technically.
Wednesday night girls finals. So.
Into a week from tomorrow and Saturday. Yeah. Looking forward to it. We typically, we're pretty much too crewed out at that point.
Next week's going to be a busy one.
Yeah. So for me and you, Jim, we just have to make sure our vocal cords are good and ready to go.
Drinking tea all week.
Attaboy. And for Kyle, I don't know. You tend to not really. Oh, you do some energy drinks. I know.
Yeah.
So, but you need to make sure your caffeine content's up to keep up.
Yeah. So what do we have? 16 games Tuesday night, 19 last night, and then we're gonna do 14 on Friday.
Yeah.
And you'll be at one of them.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's really busy, but I really do like it. It's fun. It
is a fun time of the year. It's got that college March Madness feel to it, and it's when you can get inside the Blue Cross for a championship game. Could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to really tomorrow. That regular season matchup we did, which Wayne won in overtime, was a great atmosphere, and I'm imagining tomorrow will just be that times. I don't know.
We know Wayne
10 or 11.
We know Wayne is championship caliber.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see if Newark is championship. The winner, if they obviously can beat Wayne in Wayne, then they would be. I would say so.
It'd be great.
Or it could be, if I had to guess, I got like a 12 to 14 point Wayne victory.
Oh wow.
I
hope it's like 3 again, like last time. That's what I personally hope.
Yeah, I think if there was a line on it, it would be like Wayne -5.
Ooh.
We'll have a 3-game sweep for Wayne, and Richard Miles. You'll be talking to him. He'll have 25.
Well, I'll take the Kurt Herbstreit bailout route and say, here's your keys to the game here. But Aiden Twist, he's got to 1,000. I know we mentioned that anyway, but What scores for Wayne will show up earlier this time is kind of what I'm looking at. Newark got the lead up to 17 in that game we did back in the end of January there, actually it was the beginning of February. Apologies, but does Wayne come out a little bit better shooting early on, or does Newark go full fire again there to begin and keep them at bay? We'll see.
Problem for Newark is the coach on the other side, Bill Thompson. When it comes sectional time, his guys are always ready.
Yeah.
So.
And they're home.
That's
and
true.
They don't like what they did last game against Newark.
That's true.
They fell down big.
They're going to have even though they won the game, they're going to have
rest.
the revenge on their mind.
It wasn't quite the way they probably had it drawn up.
What did Wayne have 13 days off, I think?
They played on the 18th, so it'd be 16 days.
That can work against them.
Rust versus rest, right?
Yeah, no, that can definitely work against the team. Especially, you could allow Newark to get off to a quick start and get a lead, and now you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah. So, a lot to see and play out here over the course of the next still week plus as we get going during the championship drive. Okay, that's pretty much all I got for the week, guys. I don't know if I've really missed anything or anything like that. I know we do have baseball stuff happening. I want to wait until whether it's next week or whenever we talk next about that, because the World Baseball Classic we have starting next week, but it's like a day in by the time we would be scheduled to get going again there. So I figured we can allow a couple of those games to get going before we offer up some stuff. So
yeah,
nothing too chaotic there at that point. But good talking with you guys.
Next time we talk, it'll be March.
Yeah. It's crazy. I hope there's less snow on the ground, but it's not something that any one of us can necessarily dictate in the way that we maybe can hope. So, all right, we'll get out of here. Appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in this week. You can find the FL1 Sports Podcast here on FingerLakes1.com, the FL1 YouTube channel, and all major podcasting platforms. We will be back again next week, everybody. Enjoy the weekend.